So you messed up pretty badly. I know that feeling. Shame, pity, confusion, all of these emotions trying to analyze who's at fault and point fingers. What if I told you, though, that you're making a bigger mistake? In fact, arguably the biggest mistake. You might be thinking, how would I know your biggest mistake? I'm a random person talking through a screen. I don't know every single experience in your life, every choice you've made, every chance you took. What do I know? Well, in order to answer that question, let me first start with a story of my own. Yesterday, I experienced something very interesting where I broke one of my fasts from one of my bad habits that I'm trying to get away from. With that, I felt a lot of shame. Interestingly enough, I think I spent more time trying to deal and cope with the shame that situation provided than actually dealing with the situation itself. And it raised a point to me that I don't think my mistakes do much or do as much to hurt me as the shame that comes with your mistakes. That shame of beating yourself up, for me, does way more harm than the actual mistakes themselves. I think the purpose of self-shame and self-pity is to keep us in line with everybody else. Because we think there's a way we're supposed to act. We think we need to be in line with how other people act. And self-pity, if we're doing too well, pushes us down. And self-shame, if we're not doing well enough, pushes us up to this line. But at the same time, it's both are based on fear. Self-pity, I think, is related a lot to fear of missing out. Like, oh, you're working too hard. Or self-shame is related to the fear of, you're a terrible person. But there's no time to beat yourself up. There's no time to be in your head too much, because life is limited and every single second is something we can't get back. We got one life. And one way I compare this to is Fall Guys, which is a game I've been obsessed with recently. You have to get through to the end and be one of the certain amount to win. Things are not always going to go your way. You're going to jump on something you don't like. You're going to fall off a platform where you didn't expect to. And I've realized the time that you spend beating yourself up and raging at your past failures in the game is only going to separate you more from the goal, which is being in that success. And if you just don't try to beat yourself up, instead if you just keep going and be like, okay, well, I fell on this thing, but just keep tunnel visioning on the end goal instead of beating yourself up on what happened in the past, you are the most likely to win. That self-shame, that self-pity is only taking more time away from you. Forgiving yourself can help you save that time and really focus on the end goal and not let mistakes get to you, because everyone makes mistakes. You got one life, you got limited time, and it's just like a Fall Guys map. I'm realizing you got to still get to the end. You can't be too in your head about something because someone else could mess up too. Like, how do you know no one else is messing up? How do you know in the Fall Guys map, which has other people around you in front of you, how do you know they haven't made it screwed up too? If you just screw up once and think, oh man, I'm not going to make it, you might be discounting that you still might have the advantage. You still might be the first one to get the crown. You still might be the first one to win or be enough to get in, because everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has moments. So to assume that you're going to fail just because you failed is really taxing on your mental and is really you in your head. We're wasting more time beating ourselves up and comparing ourselves to other people through self-shame and self-pity that we ignore the main mission of trying to achieve the things that we need to achieve. Don't let mistakes stop you. In fact, you can prove something even more grand and even more interesting if you don't let these mistakes stop you and you win. Because everyone makes mistakes, but we're so scared of making mistakes because we think one mistake is an end-all be-all. That's not the truth. That's simply not the truth. Mistakes are the thing that we all share. It makes us human. Without mistakes, we're not relatable. Without mistakes, we're not inspirational. Everyone who's inspirational has mistakes. In order to truly unconditionally love myself, I have to love myself when I do fail. I have to love myself when I fall short to what I achieve, because I'm not always going to be where I want to be. Life's too short. Life's too short to worry about the small things and worry about our past mistakes, because the timer is still moving. The timer is still moving whether you think about it or whether you don't think about it. The timer of life is still moving, and there's people running to the finish line right now. And if you beat yourself up about your mistakes, you're going to be your biggest enemy. There's so many variables that don't ensure your success. Why add to that and be a variable on yourself? It's also making those mistakes, making those imperfections, screwing up can give you more perspective for a song, for a creation, for a direction that you take with your career that winning could ever do. It could teach you something. It could make you learn wisdom. It can make you create something that's more valuable to yourself and your career than anything you've ever created, because it gives you a different perspective that hits in the right moment. So who says a failure is a failure? Don't beat yourself up for it, because the thing you could make right after your next failure could change your life completely. But if you sit there and wonder that you'll never make it and you're not good enough because of a failure you had, if you beat yourself up about it too much, you could miss the next blessing. But I need to keep going because that finish line is still going. That time is still ticking. If I beat myself up, that's the only time wasted. Negative emotion for no reason. Negative emotion based on comparison. Comparing yourself to the line. Oh, self-pity and self-shame. Oh, I've been working too hard compared to this person, that person. You're not like any person you've ever met. You are not comparable to these people. You are different. Everyone is different if they actually be themselves, but you're trying to reach something different. So why compare yourself to the same? Why compare yourself to people who are not trying to do that? Why compare yourself to anyone because you could reach higher than that? And I don't mean higher as in better, but I mean higher as in more levels. Some different, some the world hasn't seen before. If you're trying to be something the world hasn't seen before, why are you comparing yourself to people? Your path is different than anyone. No one knows your path. You don't even know your path. If you fail in the beginning and that's just a part of your path, you're beating yourself up about it, you're going to miss the next blessing. The timer is still going. The people are still running. The Fall Guys map is still going. Don't be the cause of your own failure. Be the cause of your success. Make that failure a perspective and keep on going. Keep on moving. That's what the Fall Guys characters do. Because I will assure you, sitting there and thinking is not going to move your Fall Guys character forward, is not going to move you forward, and not going to get you to the finish line. Create a plan. Work better. Realize your mistakes. Keep on moving.